Welcome into the taco truck. My name is Sophia. I'll be your host today. I'm really excited to sit down with you. Could you please introduce yourself?
My name's Fidel Rodriguez, also Fidel Rodriguez, however you want to pronounce it, and born and raised here in Santa Barbara. But I live in LA, but I came to this beautiful event.
Well, thank you for making the trip out here, and it's so nice to sit down and talk to a local Santa Barbara because I'm a transplant, so it's nice to sit down with you, Fidel. Today, as I'm sure you know because you came out here all the way from LA, we're here celebrating Youth Wilderness Project's 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
And so today, our stories, we're trying to focus on the outdoors and nature. But, of course, we always invite you to share any kind of story that you'd like. This is your space to take up. And usually we keep stories between like 5 to 7 minutes, just so that we can make sure to see everyone. We do have a nice little timer right here. That's a 5-minute timer, but don't let that rush you too much because I want to hear your full story. So, do you have something you'd like to share in mind already? Do you want to sit and think about
whatever
it?
you want me to talk about. You throw me the prompt and I will try to do my best to answer it.
Yeah, so we have 3 prompts out here. So what do you think of nature? How do you feel? How do you spend your time outdoors? Or how did you spend your time outdoors when you were a kid? And what gets in the way of spending time in nature? Or what memories do you have in nature? So do either any of those 3 speak out or scream out to you?
Can I answer all 3 in 7 minutes?
Yes, let's do it.
You want to do it? I'm going for the challenge.
Go ahead. So let's start. Go ahead.
Okay, well, share with me what's the first prompt.
So when you think of nature, how do you feel?
I'm going to throw the word out, equanimity. I have complete mental calmness, centered, happy, joyful, healed, clear, right? It invokes inspiration in me to want to see things differently. Absolutely. Yeah, so nature to me is its own natural drug, I'll say, without any bad after effects except for endorphins.
Couldn't agree more. It really centers you and grounds you as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
100%. Okay. And with that, could you share how you spend time outdoors, especially living in LA, where I'm curious what that looks like, or how you used to spend time outdoors when you were living here in Santa Barbara?
Yeah, I'm going to hit them both. So,
Wonderful.
Coincidentally, I grew up right down the street from Santa Barbara City College, along Cliff Drive. And my tata, Librado Flores, rest in peace, owned, there's a bunch of condominiums right on the bottom when you're driving down Cliff Drive. That used to be my tata's backyard.
Wow.
So I grew up as a kid before he crossed over, I think when I was 3 years old, I used to run in the backyard. And so when he crossed over, I still stayed there. We had walnuts and apricots and, you had Balwena, all just full of it. And then at the end was a giant tree that somebody in my family had tied a big tree and a big rope tied with a big tire. And so I used to just swing and play in nature. And then where KEYT is, that whole mountain, that was my backyard. Because I grew up in across from Guadalajara Market. And so I just hung out, and I used to come home with poison oak. I once saved a cat up there. So when you say my childhood memories, I got in a lot of trouble in growing up as a kid, but another story. But nature was my haven, and the it's not ironic, but I still do the same thing. So you say, how do? I spend time in nature every day. I live in LA. I live in the city. I mean, I live in Pasadena, but I work in every part of LA County, so I see the concrete jungle. For sure. When there is water, I am in Eaton Canyon almost every day, soaking my feet in the water. Back to grounding, centering myself, creating my imagination of the things that I want to do. And nature really, I think, was planted inside of my head as a kid. And even after this event today, I'm headed up to Hot Springs, up in Montecito, where my mother's family also was from prior to them moving over here. And I'm going to go sit in those hot springs for about 2 hours before I go home.
Wow.
So when we're talking about nature, I mean, this is you give me prompts that are just like, oh, this is exactly what I could talk about.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the last prompt, you want to share that?
What memories, whether that be funny memories, exciting, sad, scary, or peaceful memories do you have in nature? I know you kind of talked about a memory or two already, but I'd love to hear more.
Yeah. Let's see. I was gonna give you a sad memory, but I'm not gonna give you a sad. Nobody needs to hear that.
It's your space. You can do all of them.
two of them.
Yeah.
Two of them. One of them was sad, and I grew up across the street from the West Side Boys and Girls Club. Mm-hmm. That was another haven for me as a kid, and they also took me on a lot of trips up in the mountains. We went to Lake Lopez camping as a kid. And unfortunately, 2 people drowned. My executive director of, excuse me, the Girls and Boys Club, and a young kid that was a cousin of one of my close friends, Conrad, had been visiting us from Chicago, and was the one that drowned in like 8 feet of water, got caught him in moss, and we were all kids.
Yeah.
And that was my first, and I bring it because it was my first experience with death. And I could have maybe connected nature with that, but it never crossed my mind that being in nature had anything to do or was bad or dangerous or what have you. It was just kind of like something that happened. And then the other part was I remember going up to Lake Cachuma as I think with the Boys Club. They took us camping. And I remember our leader killing a rattlesnake and cutting its head off, and we were like, oh my God. And it's like, oh, but we're going to eat it now. And
you guys ate it?
Yeah, we ate the rattlesnake, and it did taste like chicken.
I was going to ask if it tasted like chicken.
It completely did.
Thank you for answering that question.
Yeah, with the spinas and everything, like a fish. But beautiful. Nature is, there's a lot of science out there already. There's a movie, I think it's called Earthing. It's a documentary, and it literally documents and shows you through scientific studies that we have disconnected ourselves from Mother Earth, and that the invention of the tennis shoe in the 70s through rubber companies and oil companies has actually created massive amounts of inflammation in our body because we are disconnected to the earth. And so I think this is some great, incredible prompts. I think the work that you all are doing with Wilderness Youth Project is probably something that needs to be magnified in a level, especially I work with young people and adults that suffer from trauma, historical trauma, complex trauma, anxiety, depression, all these different aspects that all of us have experienced as human beings. And I have not found a better solution than connecting people to nature. So kudos to all the people that run the Wilderness Youth Project, as well as you having the Starfish Connection. I think this is an incredible facility that has been manifested. I was telling the young lady outside, you manifested a dream that I've been having for many, many years in terms of a mobile studio.
Wow.
So thank you for that.
Thank you, Fidel. And I mean, it's funny that you bring up like the disconnect with nature and like how society has kind of gotten to this point just with our own like innovation, really. Because I was gonna comment how connected it seems like you are with nature. Like it was just through all your stories that you were sharing, you touched on like how I guess like I'm trying to think of the right word, how bountiful like nature is with the different fruit and nut trees that used to grow in your backyards, and how you literally lived off the land and ate a rattlesnake that your supervisor caught. That's such a cool story, and it kind of like, I don't know, it just makes me feel like you are just so connected and like in that whole like, I don't know, mindset of just like making sure to like really appreciate nature and always just reset in nature, which is really refreshing, because sometimes I have to remind myself that too. It's like, if I'm stressed, just go take a walk, listen to the trees and the wind and birds, and I'll feel better.
And everything will be okay. I think I just want to say one last thing. What nature does for us is it allows us to get reconnected to our breath.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I used to teach so many different aspects of history and culture and life skills and leadership skills with people. And in the 30 years of working with young people and adults, I have crafted it to one aspect, and it's reconnecting to people to their breath.
Yeah.
Right? Deep breath in.
Absolutely.
And release. So you try that in the sand, on the dirt, on this grass, and things happen.
I could not agree more. Yeah, I'm trying to make a more conscious effort of going out and doing that every day at least.
Yeah, that's all we can do.
Yeah.
We just keep trying.
Absolutely.
You know, and one day it might be better and another day it might not. But it's like discipline. You just keep trying it.
Keep trying. Well, thank you so much, Fidel, for sitting down with me and sharing all of those phenomenal memories and stories. I really, really loved hearing every single one.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for being an amazing host.
We have all received a gift, an expected or anticipated gift for a birthday, anniversary, retirement. Each time we receive that gift, whether it meets our expectation, we feel something. Happy, sad, disappointed. The gifts that are unexpected, unconditional, small or large, have the potential of changing the trajectory of a life. Someone pays for your groceries when you're out of money, leaves you a big tip just when you think you can't afford your rent. Those are the gifts that ease our fears, make us grateful, and want to help others. This is a space where we share how those gifts, big or small, make a difference and change our lives. Welcome to the Starfish Connection.